Hey guys, Synthetic Programming here with another video for you guys today, and today we are building a simple calculator in Python. So this is a calculator that's going to have 11 operations. The operations are going to be addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, exponent, logarithm, square root, cube root, sine, cosine, and tangent. So it's just going to be a simple calculator, a good project for anyone who's beginning in Python. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a Python file, and it's going to be called functions. I have caps lock on, functions. Okay, so in functions, we're going to write all of the functions that the calculator is going to use. So to start off, we're going to need our imports. And our imports for this, we're going to say from math, import log, sine, cosine, and tangent. So now this import is built into Python. You don't have to download anything crazy. Once you have Python, you can import from math. So after this, we're going to start by writing our functions. The first one we're going to do is we're going to write the addition one. So we're going to call it addition. And in addition, it takes no parameters, and I'll explain why in a second. Usually, if you were just going to write a function that added two numbers, you could put the two numbers in here as a parameter, but instead, we're going to ask the user for input. So let's write our little comment that we write when we make a new function, and we're just going to say adds two numbers. And now we're going to make two inputs. So A is going to be an input that says enter the first number. After that, we are going to take this, copy it down here, change this to B. So now we have a B input, and we're just going to change this to second. Enter the second number, right? After that, we're going to want to display the equation of what's going on. So we make a new variable. We're going to call it equation. And equation is going to start off with A. It's going to add this. We're going to add a space and then a plus sign and then a space. After that, we are going to add B. Then we're going to add a space and then an equal sign. And there we go. That is our equation variable. After the equation variable, we're just going to write print equation. So we're printing this variable that we've just created, and what that's going to do is it's going to take your first number, say we're adding it to the second number, and that just prints the equation. Now if we want to print the answer, we have to make a new variable for answer. So we make a new variable called answer, and we set that equal to the float of A plus the float of B. Now the reason we're using float instead of int, a lot of people might put int here, but the reason we don't want to do that is because if we do put int and then we want to add, say, like 5.5 to something, it's going to take 5.5, make it an integer by rounding it up to 6. We don't want it to do that. We want it to keep decimal places. So we're going to use floats instead. This will make sure we keep any decimal places that we have. And then the last thing we do is we just print the answer. So this is our first function, guys. This is going to be addition. Now the nice thing about writing these is that now we can copy, paste that down, and change the name to subtraction. Now in subtraction, we're going to change this to subtracts two numbers, and now we keep the same setup here. We change the plus sign to a minus because our equation, we want it to be updated to have a minus. We print the equation, and then we're going to print the float of A minus the float of B. There we go. Now for, if you guessed it, the next one we're going to be doing is multiplication. So multiplication, and we are going to change this to multiplies two numbers, we change this here to the letter X. Because it's a string, it doesn't really matter, but here, instead of, we don't put the letter X, we know how to multiply things in Python, we use an asterisk. So now this is an updated function that will allow us to multiply. Next one we're going to do is division. And division, if you guessed it, divides two numbers. Here we change this to a slash. Down here we also change this to a slash because that's how we divide in Python, and then we print out the answer. Now we've done addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. The next thing we're going to do is the exponent. So this one is going to be a little bit different than the other ones that we copy and pasted, but you'll see why. So we're going to do exponent, and we're going to say, we can get rid of this whole thing and say raises a to the power b. So here we still have our first number a, our second number b. Now we're going to say, we're going to put a hat because we're raising a to the power of b. And then here, two asterisks. So two asterisks. And the reason we're doing that is because this is how you raise an exponent in Python. And then that will print the answer. So the next one we're going to do, if I check my notes, is, logarithm. Okay, so logarithm is going to be a little more complicated than the other ones that we have just been doing. I will show you why right now. So we're going to define logarithm, and we're going to say that logarithm does log base base a of b. And what does that mean? So in logarithm, if you've done math in school, you know that in logarithm, if you do log base a of b, you're pretty much finding what do you have to raise to the power of a to get to b, I believe. I'm going to confirm that for you after we finish, but don't worry about it. So for now, write log base a of b. After that, we're going to say enter the base, because we want to know the base of the logarithm. And then we're going to say b is enter the number you'd like to take the log of. I now also notice that I should change this to this kind of quotes. There we go. Because when I put in the single quote there, it interfered because the other quotes were not different. Now that I'm using double quotes, I can put a single quote in the string. Okay, so now the equation. The equation is going to look a little bit different. The equation is going to start off with log base, then we add a of, hold on, let's do this. We're adding now of b. Okay, so, and then after that, we do another addition. Okay, so now this will say log base a of b. Okie doke. So, after that, we're going to print that equation. Now we want the answer. So how do we do this one? Because there's no operation in Python built in for log, but if you remember, up here we imported log. So this is how we use log. You'll see it when I type it in. You see it says log x and then the base. So the base comes second, so it's going to look a little funny, but it's b comma a inside of there. That's the answer. However, we have to change these to floats. And this one should also be a float. Perfect. So now it's going to take the log and then print out the log. So that one's a little more complicated. I believe that is the most complicated one that we have to deal with. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go up to where we did exponent, copy exponent because we're doing square root, and cube root. And the easiest way to do that in Python, or at least that I use to do it in Python, is here. First we'll type square root. And for square root, we're going to say takes the square root of a. And because we're only taking the square root of one number, we don't need this second number at all. So now the equation for this is going to be a raised, but not to a b because we don't have a b anymore. A is going to be raised to the power of 1/2. When you raise something to the power of 1/2, you, actually we don't even need this anymore, we can do this. When you raise something to the power 1/2, you're actually taking the square root. So here we change flow b to, in parentheses, 1 divided by 2. And so now it's going to take the square root of a, and that prints out the answer. Now cube root isn't too difficult because what can we do? We can efficiently take this, copy it down, type cube, so we get cube root, change this as well to cube, so it takes the cube root of a, we take this, change it to 1/3, you probably guessed it, and this to 1/3, that takes the cube root of a. So now, what do we do after this? We have 3 more left. We're doing the sine, the cosine, and the tangent. And now what we're going to do is just copy this guy, change this to sine of a. We're going to say sine of a. And now down here, this is a different equation than the one we need. We can actually just start over and say this. So we're going to say sine of, we're going to add in a. We're going to then close it off with this. So this will say sine of a equals, and then down here, we're going to do the sine of float a. And where did we get sine from? Does anybody remember? We imported it from up here. So we used sine up here. So now we brought in sine from the math package, and now we are going to print the answer. Okay, easy enough. We take this one, we go down here, change this to cosine of a. Same thing, except change this to cos, change this to cos, and now it is the same function pretty much. We've just done the cosine now instead of the sine. We take this, copy it one more time, and the last one is tangent. So we do tan, change this to tan, and then also this guy down here, tan. There we go. So that is now all of our mathematical functions that we're going to be using for the calculator, all set up to work perfectly. Now, we've gotten all of our functions. What do we need now? Well, I'm going to make another file, and I'm going to call it main. And this is going to be the file that we click on or use to run the calculator. And so from this, we're going to need some different things. First of all, from functions, this is the file we just made. We're going to import everything. That's an asterisk up here. You use an asterisk when you want to import everything. The next thing we're going to do is say from time import sleep. Now this isn't necessary for the calculator to work, but it makes it look a little nicer because after you do one operation, we can make it wait for a few seconds before it prints out a bunch more stuff. And you'll see that working too. So now let's write the main function. So we're going to say def run calculator. And this one doesn't take any arguments either. We are going to write our comment at the beginning of our function, and the comment is going to say runs our simple calculator. Okay, after this, we can start. The first thing we're going to do is make a list called list of choices. And the list of choices is going to be the list that we choose from when we want to do an operation on our calculator. And so you'll see how it works right now. The first thing I'm going to do is write addition. And then I'm going to say addition is 1. Okay? Then I'm going to do the same thing for subtraction, 2. After that, I believe we had multiplication is 3. Division, that's the one. It's going to be 4. Forgot a comma there. We're going to say that, what do we have after division? Exponent is going to be 5. After exponent, we had logarithm. It's going to be 6. We are getting there. This is probably the longest part of the entire programming thing. Square root is going to be 7. And I hope I'm not forgetting any. Cube root is going to be 8. And then we have our trig. So sine is going to be 9. Cosine is going to be 10. And the last thing is tangent, which is going to be 11. There we go. Oof, that took a while. So that is our list of choices. And what are we going to use our list of choices for? So when we run the calculator, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to print a bunch of equal signs. It's just a nice thing that I do. It makes it look a little better. So after we print this nice line of equal signs, and we can actually put a few less if we want. After we print that line of equal signs, we're going to say for item in list of choices, print item. Okay, so what this is going to do is we can actually take this as well and copy it. So for any of you guys who know for loops or understand for loops, what this is doing is saying for every item that we put in this list, so every one of these lines, just print it out. And that's just going to list to our user which choices they have. Now we need to get the user's choice. So we're going to say user choice is equal to the input enter number of selection. So now the user is going to pick a number, type it in, and then we can actually start doing math. So now we can start our conditional. If the user choice is equal to 1, what are we going to do? We're going to run addition. Elif user choice equals, let's say 2. We're going to run subtraction. Now, just to make it easier, I'm going to take this, paste it, which messes it up a little bit, but now paste it again, paste it again. I'm just going to do a bunch of them and then we'll see how many we actually need. Change this to 3, change this to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, then we have 10, then we have 11. Perfect. Okay, and then we just have this one other one, which I'm going to call else. Now let's quickly fill these in. So we have subtraction, now we have multiplication, now we have division. I believe division comes after multiplication. Yep. Then after that we have exponent. After exponent, what did we have? Logarithm. Oh, logarithm. After logarithm, we had square root. After square root, we had cube root. After cube root, we had sine, but not just sine, sine of A. Sine of, oh, sorry, my bad, cosine. Cosine of A, like that. and then we have tangent of A, like this. Last thing we have to do is we have to say that if someone puts in something that's not one of the selections, then we're going to print invalid selection, like this. After that, we sleep for 3 seconds. Then down here, I'm going to add one more sleep for 3 seconds. And the reason I'm doing that is, so in this case, if somebody messes up and doesn't put in a correct choice, it'll say invalid selection, and then it'll sleep for 3 seconds. Actually, no, I can get rid of this one. We don't need 2 sleeps. We can put 1 sleep on the outside. This way, after every operation, it'll sleep for 3 seconds, and then we run the calculator over again, like this. So that should be it. We've written our statement, and then down here outside of the function, we are going to write run calculator. This should be it. Let's see if it works. Let's run main. So when we run main, we see that it makes this list. It shows us a list, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And now we can mess around. So we can say we want to do multiplication. We put in 3, first number 4, next number 6.7, and then it prints 28.6. So after that, it waits 3 seconds, and it gives us the selection again. We can say log, we want to do log, so we put 6 in to do logarithm. We want to do base, let's do 2 of 8, and that's 3. So what that's pretty much saying is that 2 raised to the power of 3 equals 8. So in other words, you're saying that the base raised to the answer is going to equal the other number that you put in. Anyway, that is our simple calculator, guys. Remember, all of this code is going to be on GitHub. I'm going to put a link in the description so you guys can get to the code yourselves. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the comment section below. Try to help each other out if you see any questions in there that I haven't gotten to. And you can also, like I said, get the code off of GitHub, and there's some other information there that you can read about. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you made it all the way through the tutorial. I'm Ethan from Synthetic Programming, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.